All right, for those of you who just caught the replay of the second half of yesterday's show, my wife, my children, and all my friends are just asking the same question. And that question is, what happened?
I still don't know.
I
I did my
whole shows
damnedest.
up and show. Listen, folks, we set it up at the top of the show today. We were gonna do the replay, and we warned you when Cole Johnson shows up, all hell breaks loose.
I did my damnedest to keep up with him.
I gave up after 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm a fighter, dude. I wasn't going down without throwing a few swings.
I gave up after 5 minutes for a very good reason, and everybody heard it. I was on the floor cracking up laughing.
I saw you, and I was like, I've got to keep going.
Listen, we threw everything we could at that master, and he just gave us a master class on improv.
Yeah, he did. He did. I tried to throw curveballs. I tried to throw sweepers. I tried to throw knuckleballs at him, and he kept connecting.
I ran out of knuckleballs. Okay? I ran out of knuckleballs. The sweeper was gone after 5 minutes, and so was my arm. I ran out of ammunition.
I didn't even bother trying to throw fastballs because I knew he was going to, connect on them, and he still connected on everything I was throwing.
Like Andre Dawson at Wrigley Field. Like Andre Dawson at Wrigley Field, you throw him a fat one right down the plate, and it's going on to Waveland Avenue. Trust me, I've seen it live. Speaking of live, there's a very pretty lady from Chicago waiting for us.
Yo, is that the intro?
Scene is Alison Moran. How are you,
Is that a new intro for Allie?
Yeah.
I will just say that during the show, I've been tinkering around a little bit.
Dude, that looks dope.
Gotcha. My backwards running logo, which I've had since 2006. So it's cool. I don't care. I don't care.
Tinkered a little bit with it. How you doing, Allie?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're still recovering from what Cole did to us yesterday, which is make us a pile of blubber on the ground laughing.
And speaking of Chicago, your boss man from the headquarters has just joined us. Vic, what up?
How's it going?
Hey.
How you doing, Miss Allie?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm having the time of my life, as always. Life is an adventure, and I'll quote. I believe it's Auntie Mame. When I say life's a banquet and I intend to feast until I die. So
understandable. Understandable.
Just don't fill up on bread.
Watch those carbs.
Me and Brad have had a constant fight since I became an adult. I tell you what, me and Brad have had a fight since I went away to college, because when I was at home, my bread consumption was restricted. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I was turned loose in Kirksville, Missouri, it was on.
I know the feeling. Gained that freshman 15 and more, right?
And then some. And then some. When I graduated, I was 6'4" and 220. When I came back in 1991, I was 6'4" and 275.
Ooh, ouch. That's going to hurt your health.
Look, I paid for it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I paid for it.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, that summer and the following worked it all off.
Good for you. You know what I did my freshman year in college? I got mono. I had gained something like 20 pounds. I couldn't help it. There was 2-for-1 ladies' day at the bar. So I couldn't help myself. And when there was a sweeping plague of mono that went around our dorm, and two of my best friends got it. And I got it the worst of all. I missed everything from past Valentine's Day until Easter break. And I was so sick. And I ended up losing about 30 pounds just in that short span of time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't eat. I didn't care to eat. I didn't want to eat. And but I got a lot more boyfriends when I came back.
That was me after cancer surgery. I didn't want to eat a thing.
Yeah.
All right. Jody, bless her heart, says she kept saying, "Baby, you got to eat," and I knew I had to eat.
Yeah.
So much so that where we were staying, we had a small dorm-sized refrigerator in our room. Oh, you would think guy like me from Chicago loves food.
Yeah.
I'd be digging in that thing. My stomach had other ideas.
I totally get that. Shall we go on to
let's get
news of the day?
The news of the day, and matter of fact, this news of the day just came in. Greg Popovich is calling it a career after 29 years as the Spurs coach.
Yeah.
This last season, he suffered a mild stroke. He was in the hospital, but then was allowed to go home. And he has just made it official less than 15 minutes ago. He is stepping down as the Spurs head coach and transitioning into the Spurs GM, which means they're going to be all sorts of competitive because we know the basketball mind of Greg Popovich. Allie, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Pops calling it a coaching career?
Well, I've loved Pops for a very, very long time. And I am particularly grateful to him for doing one thing besides all of his championships for the Spurs. And that is he opened up the hiring of women in player development. Back when he hired Becky Hammond as an assistant in 2014, he opened that door wide. And he also made her the first woman head coach of a summer league. And I love him for being the all-time winningest coach in the NBA. And I mean, there more than that, I admire him for his integrity with the game and also his open-mindedness in continuing to push women and push the WNBA. San Antonio had a team for a long time, and he really believed in women in sports, and he believed that women could help shape male champions as well as female champions. And for that, I love him. And hopefully he'll continue to do that as president of basketball operations. I'm sincerely hoping that he'll continue on with that and that his health continues to improve. The other reason why I love him is a personal one. He spells his name the same way as my boyfriend, Greg. So with 2 G's, not one. So
when it comes down to Pops, he's easily on the Mount Rushmore. You got to think of people like Red Auerbach, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, and Greg Popovich. That's the Mount Rushmore of coaching in the NBA. End of story.
I would love to see that.
There's so many other coaches that have coached in that style. And one of the first ones I remember was Billy Cunningham.
Yeah.
Philadelphia 76ers, Red Hawks with the Knicks. Don Nelson in his early days with the Milwaukee Bucks. So there are so many of those coaches, but Pops is over all of them. Not just with what he's done with his teams, but as you said, Allie, with how he's continued to push women forward and having the best people in the best positions. Becky Hammond, hello.
Yes. Yes.
That started a trend, which I hope to see continue all over the place. I hope to see that continue.
And I mean, let's not forget Pops' sense of humor. I mean, there's one time right at the start when San Antonio, I believe, was facing Miami when Shaq was on the team. 8 seconds into the game, Hack-a-Shaq. And Shaq looked right over at Popovich, and Pops has this shit-eating grin on his face with his thumbs up like, it's going to be like that today for you, pal. The Popovich sense of humor was always
remember
there.
That. I remember that. And
salty and feisty.
8 seconds in, it's a Hack-a-Shaq. And I see that look, and Pops just walks away with this grin on his face, and I'm going, oh no, it's gonna be that kind of game.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Speaking of games, tomorrow starts the WNBA season with the preseason. Oh, it's today.
May 2nd, baby.
Oh, it is today. This is what I get for not getting sleep. Okay,
this is what happens when we're still recovering from Cole Johnson whooping our ass.
Get over it, you guys. Man up. Come on.
I'll eat that L with ghost pepper sauce on it, okay?
I'm already eating it in the form of chicken fried rice, okay? I'm eating that L with my lunch. So I don't care.
You guys, I was at a Justin Hayward concert last night. I don't want to hear any excuses from you people. Not about anything. You got no excuse. I was home at something like midnight, and I am here to deliver the news. So,
why do you think I'm drinking a heavy dose of caffeine today?
And I got good.
In here?
Good man. Good man.
32 ounces of iced tea.
All right.
Guess what? It's all gone.
I've got a 2-liter Baja Blast over here that's going to last me.
I get it.
3 hours.
I get
you and my kid and those Baja Blasts. I'm telling you.
Hey, if I had the chance, I'd be getting Mountain Dew Voltage, but they don't have it in 2 liters anymore, so I got to go Baja.
Yeah.
When I was covering the sky.
Stuff is like antifreeze.
Yeah. When I was covering the sky, I lived on Pepsi. Because, Allie, I was running all over the place. I was covering high school sports. I had my gig with Trinity International. And then 2014 happened, and the Sky just happened to go to the WNBA finals. And I lived on Pepsi.
Yeah.
Well, they pulled a fast one on me one day. When I went into the media room, I'm getting my notes together, getting my articles together and everything. One of the people in charge of the media room walks out with 2 liters of Pepsi. Cold. Walks right up to me and says, I have a feeling you're going to need these. I can't kill these in 40 minutes. We know. You're going to be back here in 2 nights.
Yep.
Not only was he right, but I walked in and that sumbitch was gone. But new season, new expectations, especially after the record numbers that the WNBA put up last year in terms of viewership, in terms of everything. Now you got Paige Beckers in the league. Paige versus Caitlin, and already the rumors are starting to swirl, and we were talking about this during the offseason. And Allie posed the question right after the season ended, how many games will be moved to bigger arenas for the Caitlin Clark effect? We started seeing our answer a little over a month ago when everything started being moved, including 2 games with the Fever and the Chicago Sky in the United Center.
That's right. That's right. It's exciting. And it's a dream come true. And I got to tell you, we're going to have to watch for this just a little later on in the season. There's an inaugural WNBA Rivals Week in August. And these games are going to include a matchup of between New York and Minnesota in a WNBA Finals rematch, and a potential matchup. Well, Dallas and the Dream, and Brittany Griner is facing her old Mercury squad with the Dream. So those will be fun rivalry things. That'll be fabulous. Let me get to what's happening tonight, though. And that is Paige Beckers, as you mentioned, making her preseason debut tonight against the Las Vegas Aces. And you can catch it on ION TV, ION. Tipping off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central time. And it's at Notre Dame's campus, and it's serving as a homecoming for 3 Irish alums. Can you guess who they are?
I can tell you one of them is Sonia Citron. No, that's wrong.
That is not right. That is not right.
I missed that.
Yes, that's okay. You're batting 1,000 today, Bri. Erica Ogunbowale, Jewel Lloyd, and Jackie Young. Yeah, those.
Here's my bat today so far, folks.
I think you need another one, honey.
I blasted through this.
Now, with it being on the Notre Dame campus, we know that house is going to sell.
Purcell Pavilion, one of my favorite places.
And they'll have Touchdown Jesus in the background somewhere.
Touchdown Jesus in the background. The Leprechaun Legion and 12,000 members of the Leprechaun Legion in Purcell. Oh, it's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to it.
That's going to be a great game. Great way to start off the season, and it's going. It is going to be airing, I believe, on ESPN, isn't it? Or no, it's ION. That's right. It's ION TV. Now, this is the first because
televised all the preseason
has never been televised. So. This is, maybe a couple of local stations might have ventured into this, but this is the first year that we've actually had national coverage. I can't even think of a Sky game that's been preseasonally aired, and
nor can I. And it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and here's the thing that leads off a double dip because I'm looking at my TV standings my TV schedule right now. There's a second game behind it with the Brazil national team and the Chicago Sky.
In Chicago,
from Louisiana State University.
Which means Angel Reese gets to go home to the Pete Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge.
Amen. And that game is at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. And that means Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith will get some playing time because we want to see them play together. You want to see how that's going to work. And as you mentioned, they are playing the Brazilian national team. That is, again, on ION TV. So find your ION wherever you can find it.
Find your ION and find your power for this powerful basketball doubleheader tonight. Then tomorrow at 1 p.m., it's the Mystics and Caitlin Clark and the Fever, 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow.
And that's where you'll find Sonia Citron.
That's where Sonia Citron is.
Yeah.
Now,
and besides, honey.
I was gonna ask.
This is what I'm batting so far today. When I blew through this, and I have the feeling my beauty is gonna come home with another one because she has a lot of homework to catch up on.
We were talking about the Caitlin Clark effect. Is that the reason pretty much that we're now seeing that these preseason games being televised? It's literally like the Caitlin Clark effect now.
Yes, that started the whole thing. We will see also, because of this intensified interest, which went up like 18,000 fold last year. Her effect was immeasurable on the game. However, let's see how these others fare. I would say that that no matter what, you've got a whole raft of players like Kiki Raffin, and Sonia Citron. You've got Aaliyah Boston in that Indiana Fever matchup. You're going to see a lot of really amazing players. But Caitlin Clark, just like Becky Hammond was for the for coaching and actually participating in player development and advisory capacities, you're going to see that in these televised matchups that you would have never understood before and never even imagined possible. It's exciting. I'm so excited for that.
I'm bouncing up and down waiting for this season and these matchups, especially all the ones that we highlighted and have been highlighting that have changed venues. Mentioned the 2 Sky games against the Fever that'll be playing the United Center. Indiana has sold out their season at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, and they've sold out the season after that. And you got the Dallas Wings. Their game against Indiana will be played at American Airlines Arena. That's 20,000 easy. 20,000 at American Airlines Arena in Dallas, 21 at the United Center, though that figure may be just a tad bit higher. With what I know about the United Center and having been in there, you and I both, Allie, Victor, you too, they can squeeze some people in the United Center, man.
They can. They'll find a way. If you want to buy a ticket, they'll find a way.
Standing room only.
When I did the NBA Finals in '96, the capacity they kept saying was 21,711. I can tell you for that series, MJ's reascension to the throne, that was a lie, because the attendance figure I kept reading in the Chicago Sun-Times the next day was 24,000 plus. They will get it done. They will squeeze 24,000 people in there. If they can do it in '96, they can do it this year.
Depends on what the fire marshal says.
This is true.
The fire marshal says it can be done.
Here in '96, as Michael Jordan is playing, and imagine what's going to happen when Caitlin Clark comes to Chicago.
Yes,
I mean, the legal ordinances can be a pain in the ass.
Trust me and Allie went through it at the Rosemont Horizon and the UIC Pavilion.
That's right.
I only saw one finals game at the Pavilion is because I had a scheduling conflict. Friday, I couldn't make it, and they had to make the switch at the last minute because of a scheduling conflict at the Rosemont Horizon. And I was ready to go, but then Allie got a hold of me and said, "They're not playing at the Horizon, huh? They're playing at the UIC Pavilion," and I couldn't make it. And downtown Chicago was bananas.
I saw it for both of us.
You did.
I was there for both of us. I still have a picture of Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi holding the WNBA championship cup from that year. It's really blurry. I had a bad camera that year, so and I don't know. People were jostling. I have no idea what happened, but it's one memory that I truly do treasure, to have that particular thing, even though the Chicago Sky were wiped out in the finals, and we just knew that was going to happen. We should mention also one more very important preseason game, and that is the Indiana Fever's exhibition game against same Brazilian national team on May 4th. And that's airing on ESPN. And so you have got, you mentioned the preseason opener against the Washington Mystics. But this ESPN has never done a preseason WNBA game. So this is precedent setting and
until now,
worth your money.
Then you have this piece of news. Kennedy Carter now has a job in Mexico.
Yes. What? In fact, yes, she did. She has landed finally with a team in Mexico, Adelitas de Chihuahua. And so it's one of the top teams during the 2024 LNBPF season. They secured the best regular season record. And according to Latin Basket, they made it all the way to the finals, but blew a 2-0 lead to finish the season just short of a title. I think that Kennedy Carter's 17.5 points per game last year will be very helpful. And, I felt bad for Kennedy in so many ways because that kid just attracts controversy. I mean, every time, she's such a talented player, but she also, despite being one of the most popular players on the team, she was embroiled in the controversy with Teresa Weatherspoon and the chaos in the clubhouse. And then I think what finished her in the WNBA, ironically, was in the 71-70 June 1st loss against the Fever when Carter notably knocked Clark to the floor as Aaliyah Boston was looking to pass the ball in, and that gave Kennedy Carter a flagrant foul. She was called out on it, and I think her arrogance after that also at the press conference, I remember it well. She said, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I think we ended up calling her out that following day after press conference.
Yeah,
we did. We called her out that entire week because that's something that's unacceptable. And if it's unacceptable in men's basketball, you better believe it's unacceptable in women's basketball. That should not and cannot be allowed. Speaking of allowed and ascension, Layla Rahimi's ascension at the Score put a big old 2-foot smile on my face, and you'll be pleased at this. It put a smile on my wife's face too, because she sent me that while she was getting out the door this morning. Talk about it. It's all yours, Allie.
Sure. Yeah. I was just waiting to see if you were done. I have been very critical of the Score for not hiring women. They had a weekend show after I published several editorials on Token Female about they hired Julie DeCaro and Maggie Hendricks, and they had the weekend show for a few years, and eventually received so much flack. They had a Peabody Award winning documentary done on mean tweets, essentially, to them. Damn, you're ugly. Men cried when they read those. Now, I said again, not in several different forums, that when Dan Bernstein was fired, they needed to hire a woman.
Yes.
They did. Now, I doubt Mitchell Rosen ever reads me. I don't think he's ever heard of me. Or if he has, he probably heard, "Damn, she's an opinionated bitch. Don't hire her."
Yeesh.
I got no problem. That's who I am,
And that's why we love you.
I know.
That's why we love you being here.
And we love you back.
You don't hold back.
Not at all.
He's not supposed to.
Look, we're not supposed to.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But I'm so happy with this.
And I should explain. I should explain where she's going to be in the lineup on the score. She's going to be teaming up with Marshall Harris, and it'll be airing weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time for you, Brian, and you Indiana native you.
Hey, I'm further east than him, so don't feel bad.
Okay. I'm all good. I'm all good.
Knew how many time zones I have jumped in 30 years. Okay.
How are you still not lagged out, Brian?
How am I not lagged out? I have this in front of me. I got a pretty lady on my screen, and there's a pretty woman that I'm married to that will keep me on my toes. Not to mention, I have beautiful daughters, Sonia, Cheyenne, Carmen, and Sam. They all keep me on my toes, and I'm not going to even get started with all the grandchildren that run me ragged. So that's how I'm able to keep going. But this is a prime time afternoon drive slot for them.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Good on Mitch Rosen.
Good
on Mitch Rosen.
Absolutely good on Mitch Rosen.
Hey, nothing like getting a lunch.
And if you need somebody else, let me know, Mitch. But
hey, nothing like getting the good old lunch hour time slot.
Exactly.
That's why I think Shane, that's why you convinced me to stick with this this time, because all the morning drive time slots, whether internet or terrestrial radio, they're all gone.
Yes,
they're all gone, and it's uber competitive. And I woke up one day to a message from Shane saying, stick with the lunchtime slot. And Jody got a hold of it and said, follow his advice, because you do better when you're on the lunchtime slot.
Mm-hmm.
So here we shall stay. Now, the Chicago Stars, not the Red doggone it. I agree with you, Allie. It's the Red Stars as far as I'm concerned. Just like the OKC Thunder should be the Seattle Supersonics, but that's a story and a rant for another time. Lauren Donaldson is gone from the Chicago Stars.
Yes, he is. Well, here's the problem. I mean, he had a good record with, I believe it was the Brazilian national team before, and that's why the Red Stars, yes, that's why they hired them. That's why they hired him, and he led the Stars to a very mediocre, if not poor, 10-14-2 regular season record. They inched and backed into the playoffs, and they, which was a minor improvement from 2023, but they started the regular season with a 1-5 record. They're currently 14th place in the league. It's a big drop off from the Rory Dames days, and when they were always contending, and usually Rory had pushed them to the finals. Now, the way he got there was abusive, and it was inappropriate conduct. The person who's going to be taking over for them is their first assistant coach, Masaki Hemi, and she'll be the interim head coach. And the team is searching for a replacement. Masaki Hemi has not had the experience to lead the team in to a championship or even contend. So but she will be working closely with assistant coaches Ella Massar, Karina Baez, and Brenton Saylor. So it'll be an okay. We'll see. They've got a match coming up. We'll see how this new configuration goes. But I think the main reason why this is such an issue is that Mallory Swanson is their leader. She has been out for all of this year due to personal reasons. And there is nobody else on the team that leads, there just isn't. And so their play has been kind of very inconsistent. They have not been very competitive. And so I think what Hemi needs to do in that regard is to light that fire, make them proud to play for the Chicago Stars, make them realize that it's got to be a next man up mentality, and don't save it all for if and or when Mallory comes back.
Right.
And
I can feel that. My first foray into women's soccer was a girls' soccer game featuring Whitney Young. That was 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And they were one of the top 5 ranked teams, not just in Chicago, but in the state. Then they had to travel north in a rainstorm in one of the few rainstorm games I've done. And it was so intense. I honestly didn't think I'd like it because I had indoor soccer as my introduction. Karl-Heinz Granitza and the Chicago Sting, Steve Jungle and the San Diego Sockers.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did this game.
Wussy.
Listen, as I said, then I did this game. I was fine. I was protected in the booth. It was coming down out of the booth and going through the mud and the slop, trying to get to my car, getting the heck out of there. But man, I was sold after that game.
Oh yeah,
it was a 1-0, 2 overtime classic, and it was a state playoff game. I never thought that an outdoor soccer game would exhaust me.
Mm-hmm.
That wore me out, and it hooked me in.
I love it.
That wore me out to the point where I'm putting the Stars on my schedule, and I will be paying attention to them. The PWHL is wrapping up its second season, and oh my gosh, has that been record breaking.
It's great. They've got a new team coming for next year too, which I'm excited about. And oh my goodness. And I'm just so pleased that every league is growing right now. Mm-hmm. When you were mentioning soccer, I couldn't help but think, we didn't have a women's soccer team in our high school. We did have men's soccer, and then we had soccer cheerleaders. I tried out, I didn't make it, but my Herkies weren't good enough. And but I did attend a lot of the matches, and so I liked it in high school. Then, Drake University, to my recollection, didn't have a soccer team. I could be wrong, but in the meantime, I met a man when I was starting to cover the women's sports named Peter Wilt, and Peter Wilt is the god of American soccer, as far as I'm concerned. And you cannot talk to Peter Wilt, who was the president of the Red Stars, formerly the Fire founder, and you can't know Peter and not know what a great sports soccer is. It's
very true.
And so from that moment forward, soccer was one of my favorite sports to cover. That one of my editors told me was, Al, you really like covering soccer, don't you? I like covering all sports. I do. I love hockey. I love basketball. I love football. I can't wait to see what happens when flag football is a thing come this fall in high school. I'm excited about all that. And I do believe that this fire is not going to be extinguished either.
Good.
this is going, you've had a generation grow up with women being treated equally in sports. And now they can make money at it.
Yes.
I will never forget when I told my friends and my family that I started covering, through Token Female, I would cover the WNBA, and I was covering the NWSL and its predecessor. And the thing was that everybody said, why would you want to do that? Nobody watches it. And I said, because people will. All they have to do is discover it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as much flack as I took then, as much, as much online trolling as I got, and all that kind of stuff, I will still say that I knew this would happen somehow, somewhere in my gut. It will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did too.
Right.
When I was living in North Carolina and I was covering Lewisburg College, I did more softball games than baseball games because they got on a roll, and the coach said, you better not leave our side as far as we go, especially into the national tournament. I said, you're on. So we hosted the region 10 first round, swept that series with no problem. And I'm thinking, okay, my run's going to come to an end because they're going to go to Burlington. My wife woke me up and she says, what's your softball schedule this week? I took a look, and then as soon as I looked, the coach got a hold of me and said, you are coming to Burlington, right? Honey? And she just screamed out loud, he'll be there. Okay, I guess I'm going to Burlington.
Yes, you are.
Man.
Yep.
Not only did they love having me there, I wound up not just covering Lewisburg, I wound up covering the entire weekend tournament in its entirety. And were it not for the fact that I got sick, I'd still be there, but there's a reason for everything. I truly believe that now. But I had fun. I had fun covering them, not to mention the fact that Lewisburg gave me my first Grand Slam call, and I was able to bust out Dave Niehaus, get out the rye bread and mustard, Grandma. It's a Grand Slammy. When I made that call, I sent it to Victor, I sent it to Shane, and Victor opened his mouth and said, watch this take off.
Yep.
When I got home, hours later, I had a list of emails saying, thank you for that call. The following Friday, I got not one, but 2 slams in the same game.
Oh my God.
Back-to-back innings from the same hitter.
You were handed a miracle.
I was.
That is totally amazing.
And that's how we clinched the division title on the road.
That is awesome. That's
Grandma
awesome.
got herself a double order that day.
Listen, Grandma got all kinds of orders that entire week. All right. The only reason Jody couldn't join me is she was dealing with an Achilles injury and she was working from home.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. I felt so bad. If people don't know how I am, I felt so bad when she had her injury that I was willing to put my season on hold to make sure she was okay. And she looked at me and said, are you kidding me? You're enjoying yourself. And that's what I love to see. Get out of here. So I went and covered the games, and she listened. She tuned in. And it's so much fun doing women's sports. People who don't understand will never understand. I've come to that conclusion. Allie and I have talked about it many, many, many times over many, many years. If you don't understand, you will never understand. True. That's why we love having you here. That's why we love the Token Female each week, though today it's Friday and not Thursday because Cole Johnson decided to flip the week upside down. Yep. We love having you here, Allie, and we're up against time, unfortunately, but you bet keep coming back, please.
Oh,
every week.
Of course they will. Can I mention one other thing?
Go ahead.
One other thing is I want to also strike a pose for girl horses.
Yes.
For the fillies.
Lilies for the fillies.
Tonight, you can see the lilies for the fillies in the Kentucky Oaks race. It's for 3-year-old thoroughbred fillies, and it is the forerunner to the Run for the Roses at the Kentucky Derby. Now, let's just say that the winner will get $846,300 of the $1,500,000 purse. They are presented with a large garland blanket of lilies, not roses.
Right.
I don't know if I like that, but let's say that everybody thinks that the odds-on favorite is Good Cheer, who has not lost a race in 6 starts, and they were trained by Brad Cox, and he has produced a long group of winners. So you might want to place your bets there. That said, the favorite didn't claim victory in 2023 or 2024. And so you gotta, hedge your bets, put a bet on a few other of the horses in the running, but it's run at Churchill Downs tonight at, 5:51 p.m. Eastern time, 4:51 our time, and it'll be tonight on Peacock.
And I'm not far from Louisville. I would guess we're 90 minutes out from Louisville. See, this is why I love living in this central spot. We're 90 minutes from Indianapolis, so I can take my wife to go see the Colts, and we're 90 minutes from Louisville, so we can sneak away for a weekend.
Road trip.
Play. Yep, road trip.
Road trip. Get the bourbon, for God's sakes, and bring it back to me. And when Good Cheer wins, you can put on a bet for me. So I'd appreciate that. And now the nice part is that this group also starts coverage at 1:00 in the afternoon Eastern time. So in a few minutes, if you're in the central time zone, they are going to start covering this the same way they start covering the Kentucky Derby. And I think it's phenomenal that the fillies get almost equal treatment, because I'm here for the women everywhere.
They get their day. I love it.
Yes,
I love it. The lilies for the fillies, folks, tonight in Louisville, and that's Mic Drop Moran for the week. Thank you, my dear. We love you very much. We'll see you next week.
Love you. Have a great week.
Thank you. These moments, man.
Over to May. That means we do have a lot of action in the sports world this month.
Yep. We got that. We got everything Allie covered. We got the WNBA going on, the lilies for the Phillies, Major League Baseball, and I told you about those Toronto Blue Jays.
Shut up.
We're out for the weekend. While Shane recovers from being socked in the mouth, have a great weekend. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope you all are too. God bless you. Have a great weekend, and we love you. So long, everybody. Tigers, Leprechauns, and Phillies. Oh my. See you Monday.
Joel Embiid, you still a bitch.
Oh, and by the way, so are you, LeBron. See ya.